Touch the leg and welcome to Tibet This Week, a weekly news that tells you about Tibet, His Holiness the Dalai Lama and Central Tibetan Administration. Today's headlines. His Holiness the Dalai Lama comments statement by 5 nuclear weapon states on preventing nuclear war. His Holiness the Dalai Lama and Central Tibetan Administration welcomes Aftab Pureval, new mayor of Cincinnati. Central Tibetan Administration addresses the 18th founding anniversary of Central Council of Tibetan Medicine. Tibetan Parliament-in-Exile condemns Chinese embassy's letter to Indian members of parliament. Representative of Office of Tibet, South Africa attends funeral service of Archbishop Tutu. Vaccination drive for the children of 15 to 18 years of age begins in the Tibetan settlements. Tibetan communities in Switzerland and Germany call for diplomatic boycott of Beijing Olympics 2022. Following the recent joint pledge signed by the 5 recognized nuclear weapon states, affirming that a nuclear war cannot be won and must never be fought, His Holiness the Dalai Lama has issued a statement warmly commending their action. His Holiness welcomed the positive initiative and said this would represent an opportunity to make this 21st century an era of peace and cooperation. For the first time, the leaders of China, France, Russia, the United Kingdom and the United States on Monday issued a joint statement on preventing a nuclear war and avoiding arms race while not aiming nuclear devices at each other or at any other state. His Holiness the Dalai Lama and the Central Tibetan Administration congratulated Aftab Pureval, who sworn in as the new mayor of Cincinnati on Tuesday this week. His Holiness expressed appreciation in the people of Tibetan heritage that are dedicating their services for the benefit of others by seeking political offices in other countries. His Holiness also expressed his hope that by holding public offices, they will be able to work with warm-heartedness and with genuine concern for the less fortunate members in their constituencies. Expressing his good wishes, Sikyong Pempa Siring said that Aftab Pureval's win reflects the trust that the people of Cincinnati have in his leadership. Sikyong also urged him to continue advocating for the just cause of Tibet. Sikyong Pempa Siring of the Central Tibetan Administration and Speaker Khenpo Sonam Temple of the Tibetan Parliament-in-Exile graced the 18th founding anniversary of Central Council of Tibetan Medicine. Speaker Khenpo Sonam Temple spoke on the significance of Sorik, a major Tibetan science of studies for centuries that has been carefully preserved and practiced. Sikyong Pempa Siring urged the Central Council of Tibetan Medicine to undertake the responsibilities of standardizing and supervising the growing business of the ancient Tibetan system of medicine. The Central Council of Tibetan Medicine marked its 18th founding anniversary at Library of Tibetan Works and Archive on Wednesday this week. Tibetan Parliament-in-Exile condemned the letter sent by the Chinese embassy in India, urging Indian parliament members to not support the Tibetans in exile. In its press statement, the Tibetan Parliament-in-Exile criticized the letter that cited Central Tibetan Administration as a so-called separatist political group and for calling the issue of Tibet as China's internal affairs. Tibetan Parliament-in-Exile responded that Tibet is not part of China historically and that China is evidently intimidated by the growing support for the Tibetan movement around the world. The political counselor of Chinese embassy to India has written a letter to several elected members of the Indian Parliament who attended the dinner reception hosted by the Tibetan Parliament-in-Exile on 22 December 2021 after the revival of the all-party Indian Parliamentary Forum for Tibet. Representative Ngutuk Dorji of the Office of Tibet in South Africa attended the funeral service of Archbishop Desmond held on Saturday last week at St. George Cathedral in Cape Town. Representative Ngutuk met with the Chief Executive Officer of the Desmond Tutu Foundation and talked about future collaboration. He also met numbers of dignitaries and clergy officials, and all of who expressed their deep admiration for the unique spiritual friendship between Archbishop Desmond Tutu and His Holiness the Dalai Lama. The service, attended by his closest family members and friends, also hosted dignitaries including President Cyril Ramaphosa and many ministers and government officials. With the announcement from Prime Minister Narendra Modi on India beginning its COVID-19 vaccination for teenagers between 15 to 18 years of age, the vaccination drive in the Tibetan settlements began for the eligible population. Many of the Tibetan settlements and schools have begun participating in the vaccination drive. Amid the rising cases of COVID-19 and the variant of concern Omicron, the Department of Health Central Tibetan Administration encourages all the children and their parents to take part in the drive and be safe. Tibetan communities of Switzerland and Liechtenstein and Germany called for a diplomatic boycott of Beijing Winter Olympics 2022, urging their governments not to send any officials and diplomats to the Games. Members of Tibetan community of Switzerland and Liechtenstein gathered in front of the UN Human Rights Council in protest against the Winter Olympic Games in Beijing on Tuesday this week in accordance with Global Day of Action.
United Nations! Wake up, wake up! United Nations! Wake up, wake up!
The members of Tibetan Association in Germany and Tibet Initiative Deutschland, joined by Uyghurs, Hong Kongers and overseas Chinese dissidents, took part in the march. UN Advocacy Officer of the Tibet Bureau Geneva, Kaldin Somo, and Europe Tibetan parliamentarian Wen Thupten Wangchen urged democratic leaders to closely monitor and assess the situation in Tibet and regions under China's control and heed the voices of victims of human rights abuses by China. That's all for today. See you next time and have a great weekend.